Tonight we're making some money and preparing for Memphis. This involves some missions to go around to the other side of the planet and collect a few more crew reports, wrap up the on Kerbin missions. We've now visited Moon, and we are going to visit Memphis soon. We should hopefully reduce the number of on Kerbin in atmosphere contracts we receive, because quite frankly, they're time consuming to complete. Go ahead and make sure everything's set up proper here. Well, that's not a good sign. Guess we won't know if there's a serious problem until we get to Eve. That's interesting. I never noticed that button before. Things about new mods, learning how to use them, always an entertaining chore. The workshops will come in handy later, able to actually deploy craft in orbit and craft on other planetary surfaces. Alright, so let's see what missions we have to complete now. Still those three. So let's go ahead. We've already got a launch vehicle prepared for this. A long-range delivery vehicle. We just need to get it close. This is our delivery system. You know that it works. We've already deployed it once. Does a great job getting things about halfway around the planet just where we want it to be. Also relatively cheap. The bulk of the cost is the payload, which is later recoverable. Minor staging tweak here because I keep forgetting to sit in the lab. Where we're wanting to get to is way over here. Bring it to be easier to go across the southern pole, actually. Definitely going to be traveling kind of westish. West, southwest. This thing does get off to a slow start. That's not a concern. We know that happens. Okay. So far, the ascent's going beautifully. Exactly as planned. Beautiful day for a rocket launch. Smoke trail for days. There goes the first stage. Checking the booster. Activating the second stage. Notice the 4 thumpers are an excellent choice for a prolonged burn, especially with orange tank. Press the way to start to pick up, so we should see a lot of acceleration today. Hey, we're on a really ideal trajectory right now. This is going to put us very close to where we want to be. Re-entry vehicle is Fred's cradle. Oh, I did not mean to toggle those. That's close enough. We'll be able to fly the rest of the way to them. I really should put radiator on. Preserve the nose cone. Welcome aboard, homicides. We're in the middle of doing some crew report missions, try to make some additional money to get ready to go to Memphis, and to wrap up the missions that are on Kerbin so that we don't have to worry about the fleet flying through the atmosphere as much as we used to. Fortunately, for flying through the atmosphere, this little vehicle right here is a gem. As long as it doesn't explode on re-entry. Waiting for the jet engine here to kick in. Wow, this thing's getting warm. Fortunately, I think it's about to slow down to the point where it'll be subsonic and no longer a threat of superheating very shortly. And why I just decided to flip, I have no idea. And the best part was it happened right before the jet engine kicked in. Didn't get it turned around the right direction. Oh, you can do it, Panther. There we go. Stop. You got it. Alright, roll into the right position. Don't flip. Don't flip. Don't flip. Oh, you're annoying. Executing roll maneuver to stabilize. We are on course. So what I do on the side is, in order to maximize, or actually minimize the time that's being used for these missions, is I actually use a rocket, and I launch the jet halfway around the planet to near the area where I want it to go to, which is over here. Turn the engines on and fly the rest of the way. That saves you about half the travel time, because you're traveling somewhere around 1.2 1.3k meters per second versus these lousy speeds. Which, don't get me wrong, this thing will pick up in just a minute as soon as it hits a slightly lower altitude where it breathes better. I think the top speed of this craft is around 9,000 meters per second. You play Kerbals a lot? These little winglets you see here, these are not in-game normally. These are part of B9's procedural wings, and I love them because they look nice and pointy, like actual guidance fins, rather than the type of flaps they give you and the type of canards they give you, which look very, in my opinion, oddly shaped. Yeah, I have WIMPs too, especially with the new DLC coming out. I'm really looking forward to it. And also something that I've installed. I played the old game to death, the standard game. I just played it to the point I couldn't play it anymore. And then I decided, let's go add some mods and see what it's like. It's a totally different game now. That's one of the things I love about it, is the development community is just amazing. And there's still other variants that I haven't tried out yet. After I finish with my Interstellar campaign, I'm probably going to go back and install Galileo Planets Pack and give it a try. Although this campaign is going to take a long time. We have 4 different star systems to visit. Oh God. Yeah, I remember the first time I stranded a Kerbal in orbit of the sun. The more entertaining part was trying to get that Kerbal back. Have you ever tried to dock with anything in an orbit of the sun? It is not fun. It's doable, just not fun. It takes forever for the engines, and the amount of time you have to wait for an orbit. I mean, it's just, unless you have some navigation mods, base game is just about impossible. I mean, it is doable with a lot of patience, and if you're willing to just accelerate time, but if you're not, without an alarm clock and without a lot of patience, you're not going to do it. So is he at least on some sort of a station, or did you send him off just on a probe? Accelerate time here so we don't have to wait forever for this to get done. Fortunately, this thing is very ×4 stable. You will have to periodically correct, though, for its ascent path. It wants to nose up under ×4, so you have to put its nose back down. Which puts it over 20,000 meters. Is at a risk of a stall. Now we're trying to get these two over here, so I want to tell it to turn a little. This is always kind of fun in this craft, especially when it's still fuel loaded. It does not like to turn at these speeds at all. Now that we've course corrected, I want to nose back down, try to stabilize my path. I tell you what's really hard is actually trying to collide with the sun. You'd be amazed at how much delta V that requires. You're going to have fuel tanks for days if you ever actually want to make it to Kerbin and fry yourself. I know, I've tried. If you're not careful about your altitude, the engine can choke itself and then it's hard to get spun back up again. The engine on the Panther likes to run above 500 meters per second. If it drops below that, the turbine rate drops very quickly. Now, all these are altitudes that are below a certain level. So once we get out here, we're going to drop down some. Both of these are below 17 or 17.8, so we should be good. But no, we're not. We're nosing up again. All right, so we need to descend some, so we want to nose down. Look at all those clouds, man. I love this atmosphere mod. Want to make a course adjustment here, but we're getting close and starting to veer off. This design was actually inspired by the Tomahawk cruise missile. It's just it happens to be a piloted Tomahawk cruise missile. Okay, we're in the region we need to be in, so we collect our crew report, and looks like we may have picked them up at the same time. Yep, we got both of those at the same time, so we're good on those. Then we gotta turn around and grab this. Erd's Odyssey. Turning in this thing is an art form. One of the more unstable craft I built, but that instability makes it great on maneuverability. Just you got to be careful not to let it get out of control, because if you do, well, bad things happen. Yeah, I put in a bot finally to reward people for staying in and hanging out with me, and to play games, gamble, and stuff like that, like most of the other streamers do. We're almost to our final intra-atmospheric target here. To become my companion common. Alright, we're done. That's it. That's all the missions. At least the ones in atmosphere. It's an easy 90 grand. Popping the chutes and just waiting for the thing to fall to Earth. So, Homicide, have you ever used anything quite like this in order to complete your inter-atmospheric missions? It makes things a lot easier. Mount to a rocket, fire to the Earth, Sun, and planet. Let the Kerbal fly around, pick up all the tech, parachute it back to Earth, and then just recover. Looks like I've got all the science here. This isn't a plane. It's technically a missile. It's a manned missile. All you have to do is have 4 fins on the front and the back, with the lift centered on the center of gravity. Do that, you can't go wrong with building a missile. If you want me to, I can show you how it's laid out in the space plane. Then it just lands gently to Earth. And just like the fins, you have to have the parachute centered around the center of gravity. That's why they're evenly split from the middle of the plane. Or, well, the missile. Oh, I don't want to revert. It's successful. I want to recover. I'm up to 1.5 million. Not bad for career. Yeah, we can do that one easy. Wow. 150,000 just for putting a satellite in orbit. Go ahead and complete that Science from the Moon mission by collecting from our lab. And that's how easy you complete the Obtain Science from the Moon mission. Alright, so what's next on the mission list? Measure temperatures. Before we go do that, I want to show you how I made this missile. Dwayne's, welcome to the stream. Hey, Bahamut, or Bama, how you doing? I'm about to tell Homicide how to balance a missile out. Okay, so Homicide, this is the manned multi-missile probe, as I call it. Has some power on board, but it does have a couple of solar panels on the sides to make sure that it doesn't run out of power. And this is how it's set up. Big yellow ball, very important. That is your center of gravity. You have to have your parachutes evenly dispersed from your center of gravity on both sides of the vehicle, equidistant. And if you set it up that way and the fuel drain is even, then what's going to happen is when you deploy these chutes and you're at the end of your mission, the aircraft will settle gently to the ground or to the water and will land on these two fins. Now, there's two possibilities of what's going to happen. Yes, he was. He's one of my favorite summons. So, if it lands on those fins in the water, it's just going to belly onto the water like you saw earlier. It's going to be nice, flat, and you'll be easy to recover. If it settles on the land and it settles on a slope, these fins, it'll rock to either the left or right, and you'll land on one of the other fins, and it'll hook into the ground and keep it from moving. It acts kind of like a quad pod. So you got four little legs there holding it like a table until you recover it. The balanced nature of the airframe, where you had the fins also equidistant, just like the parachutes, allows for extremely high levels of control at high speed. I emphasize high speed because at speeds under 300 meters per second, this craft is going to start nosing towards the Earth due to lack of lift. It flies like a rock when it's not at high speed, just like a missile does. When a missile runs out of fuel, it simply drops to the ground like a rock. And that is exactly what this thing will do when it's not at power. It uses the Panther turbofan engine because of an extremely high gimbal rating on the engine. This allows for an extremely high level of maneuver of the craft, and it assists it in making hard turns, because lift won't do it on its own. You're going to have to use that gimbal because it has, let me see, I think it's 10 degrees. Yep, this has a 10-degree gimbal range. It makes it almost as powerful as RCS on an out-of-atmospheric jet, or out-of-atmospheric space plane. So for an intra-atmospheric aircraft, that thruster can really help you pull some nice maneuvers. I've seen people take Panthers and make planes dance on their tail with two Panthers on board. So that's the recipe for a nice, stable missile to use as a probe for technology recovery anywhere you want to on Kerbin. Now, this thing won't get very far on its own. If you launch it from the runway, you're going to have to put either landing gear on it or put a rocket cart beneath it, kind of like this. Hold on. I love the one that I got a rocket cart under it. This was my test probe, the unmanned version. It's got a rocket cart beneath it, which has a probe on board, which is recoverable. And this isn't a serious mission, so I will revert this to spaceplane hangar when we're done here. But I'll demonstrate how the rocket cart and the test probe works. So you got this untested probe design, you're not sure how well it's going to fly. You're also not sure if all the features work. You're working out the kinks in it and the action group, so you need a way to launch it. you try to launch it with a jet on a vertical mount, like one of the structural supports, it's not going to be able to spin up sufficiently in order to get into the air. It's just going to fall to the ground when you release the clamps. On the other hand, if you put on a rocket cart like this, it acts as landing gear for a rocket for a brief amount of time. And this stage separator on the bottom is going to release it when it's up to speed, which is usually around 70 to 80 meters per second. Oh my, I waited too late on that one. Let's do that again. Too busy showing you how it worked to actually focus on what I'm doing. Okay, so let's do this again, and I'm going to release about 50 to 60 meters per second because it should be taking off that. Oh, also it's better to launch with it wet, with afterburner on, because the gimbal will help. Well, actually you can, because if you do that, in reality your jet engine will explode if you try to launch a jet with afterburner on. If you care about reality, you don't do that. And notice that this has the old fin setup, not the new fin setup. So the aerodynamics on this one isn't quite as good. So we'll spin this thing up to 60 this time and let it rip. Oops. Yeah, whole design really needs to be done. Try this one more time. This is odd. This is the first 2 times this has crashed. Every time I've launched this, this is launched successfully. I wonder if I had something set, but I forgot. I have to take a look at the landing. I bet if I put the brakes on and then release, it'll be okay. But anyway, you get the idea. This is a test vehicle for it to launch from, and it allows it to spin up before it actually leaves the runway. Angled up so that the center of lift will just take it gently off the ground. Alright, so SAS on, max fuel, max power, brakes are on the rocket cart. And then we'll release the brakes. Release the cart. And there we go. Ooh, over control. What's happening is I'm simply over controlling the probe when it comes off. I'm pulling up too hard. See, the cart's still there. The cart's perfectly fine. You can do whatever you want. So you can recover both the probe and the cart if the launch is successful. If it's not, well, you're probably down a probe, possibly out your cart if the cart wrecks. But it gives you a great idea of the flight profile once you do get the probe in the air. And this will be my last attempt. As I said, this is the old model. I just used it to prove that the thing could turn. And when I realized that it was going to be enough that the aerodynamics would work on the flaps, I stopped using it because that's all I needed to know was that the flaps would be enough to make it turn. So really just a proving ground test bed vehicle, not really something you would use on a regular basis at any time. There we go. You just got to nose it up a little bit. If you press down too hard on your controller, or you don't have or you pull back too hard on your joystick, you're going to over control it and cause it to flip. And the thing is, I'm not using a controller, so if I hit S, these flaps really like to over control, which is why I designed my own. See, you can just simply have this thing barrel roll for days. That's how maneuverable it is. And it always recovers. Oh, and I don't have the front stabilizers on it either. It's probably the most maneuverable type of aircraft you can build. That is an SAS controller right here. You got your Panther on the back, you got these winglets, and this is all built using base game parts, except for the SAS controller, which you could use the standard base game SAS controller and build this exact model. This is not a heavily modded model at all. There's one part that's modded, and that's the SAS. So you could rebuild this easy inside of the base game if you wanted to use it. I actually use something like this for fun. I put it in my bombers because, well, it makes a terrific cruise missile. I missed. Hi, Jay-Z Brain. Whoa, that's some weirdness. The probe core survived? Yeah, that's what was happening. The probe core was spinning at high velocity rolling along the ground. Something still doesn't want to act right here. That thing did or not? Okay. Revert flight. First space plane. Hey, Jay-Z, I was just, in Jay-Z's brain, I was just showing a couple of fellas here how to build a balanced space plane and a balanced probe, and then to test bed them to make sure they were functioning correctly. The test bed itself doesn't function so well, but the probe itself was fine. Alright, so next mission, we have some temperature readings we need to take near the poles. We've made a lot of fat cash. So it wants us to go to where now? By the way, guys, I have now added the bot in place. It is now tracking the time that you spend here, and you are earning Dragon Gold. Alright, so where are these thermometers, these temperature readings? Oh, here they are. Where is the space center? I think it's in daylight. No, it's in darkness. Not by much, not in dusk. So that will probably be an over the pole mission. It's the shortest route. Alright, gentlemen, looks like we're launching a probe over the poles. I'm hoping this will be the last of our intra-atmospheric survey crew report missions for a while because I'm a little burned out on them. And since we visited the moon, it should have hopefully unlocked a lot more lunar, Minmus, and space missions. I want to get into space at this point, weary of being on the ground. So we're going to get the Kerbin delivery vehicle, long-range variant. This one's meant to go at least halfway around the globe. It has been upgraded. It originally had, I think it was a volcano engine on it. The thrust wasn't sufficient, so I upgraded to 4 thumpers, and we're using liquid and oxygen now blocks. I sure hope so, Obama. I really want to put up a refueling station in orbit, an emergency refueling vehicle that will be able to intercept other vehicles if they're returning from the moon or such, and transfer fuel to them in the event it can't make a proper recovery that way. It acts as a rescue vehicle in the event things go wrong. And in career mode, that could be priceless. I mean, if you're coming back and you got these tourists and you don't have enough fuel to get them down, like we almost did the other evening, it can save your butt. Now, it's taking off slow. That is normal and expected. It will pick up speed. We actually wanted to do that. Still need to fix the staging. Keep forgetting because I always remember to fix it off the bat. Now, from our current position, it's going to be north with a little bit of a slant to the west. So we're going to be nosing over this way. Just a little bit. This thing controls very well at low altitude, but this does not hurt it in the slightest. The fins provided a lot of aerodynamic control. Just like our probe. Just like a giant version of our probe, really. There goes stage 1. Initiating stage 2 after stage 1 clean separation. Something a little bit more west to get this orbital path. It doesn't want to. Collapses at 33,000. We need to continue to burn. Oh, we're burning. I need to set navigation. I'd actually have to see it, NJZ. You got any screenshots to take a look at it? What are you using for the actuator? Is it a landing gear? Also, which planet or surface is it on? Is it Kerbin? Is it a lot of factors in play here. Okay, what you're going to need to get is a mod that allows you to see colliders. I've got one called Kaleidoscope because some of the parts have spots that are collidable and parts that are spots that are not collidable. You need to know what part you need to be able to collide with. And there is such a mod for that to see the colliders. It's called Kaleidoscope, and a lot of the people in the streaming community here actually use Kaleidoscope for that very reason. We've got a really good approach path now. Yeah, get Kaleidoscope. I think I can. I have to go see it here. I don't think I do. So this is Kaleidoscope. You see that? You see that engine? You see all those blue surfaces and that yellow surface? Those are colliders. So you have to be able to make sure that whatever you're using for the actuation is actually coming into contact with one of those blue surfaces, those blue shapes, because otherwise it's passing through what is actually an intangible object or an intangible surface. Meaning that it's a ghost. It's not really there, it's there for aesthetics. Understand what I'm saying? If you have two colliders that come into contact with each other, they should work just fine. And if they're not, then it may be a bug, and the only thing you can do in that case is report it on the forums. Yeah, look at the colliders on the fuel tank here and give you an even better idea. See, it's a giant cylinder with a flat bottom with triangles to make up the collider surfaces. Now we're at the peak of the ascent of the arc that we're in, which is going to land us right exactly where we want to be. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jettison the jet engine. And then I'm going to change its ascent path to make sure that it does not accidentally collide with the probe core behind it. And what I'll do is to make sure that it's safe is I'm going to go back here and I'm going to burn backwards just enough time to make sure that it's never going to be a problem to my probe. We have clean separation of the third stage. Coming in hot on target. Checking on science availability because we are near a type of terrain that I haven't been over, which is tundra. Now I have to be careful. I don't want my probe to burn up. And so I've got to pitch nose up a little bit to make it slowly air brake itself. it doesn't have to touch necessarily the inside of the fuselage. It has to touch one of the actual sides of the fuselage. You see, some of the parts are actually hollow. They don't actually have an interior. And so you only have the surface skin, and sometimes they omit center pieces. And so if you're not actually coming into contact with one of the blue panels, like if you got a square, you got 6 sides to a cube. So if you're not coming into contact with one of those 6 sides, and you're coming into contact with something that is not actually an object in the game, then the other component that you're using as an actuator will just pass right through the graphical rendering of it. But if it comes into contact with a piece, a graphic, say for example this fin that has a collider surface, then it'll push against it. So it all matters as to whether or not that part of the part is actually there, or if it's only there for appearance. The only way you want to know that is to get kaleidoscope, because each part in the game is very different. The engines are notorious for having a wide array of collider locations, because each engine is shaped differently. So due to the fact the shapes are all different, you could have colliders in any number of places. Some of the engines actually have a donut hole in the middle, which means that in some instances you can place one engine inside the other and still have the thrust from both engines, which is a little bit of a gimmick that people used in the old days to take advantage of the physics of the system. We're initiating a heat dissipation roll. This prevents too much stuff from blowing up by accident by keeping it out of the direct airstream. By keeping the most vulnerable components out of the direct airstream and wobbling like this, you keep too much heat from building up on any particular side of the craft, and that keeps you from going boom. Once we get to a low enough altitude where the jet engine can breathe, speaking of which, activate the engine, toggle it to wet. Once we get to a point where it can breathe, it'll kick in and then help reorient the craft into a proper direction. Come on, Panther, flip it. There we go, good job. Now roll. And this is why I love the Panther engine. That 10 degree gimbal is just a lifesaver in a stall. You can always reorient yourself. Great for these manned missiles. And we just let our speed build up. Ooh. This is going to be fun. Those temperature readings all have to be taken on the surface. This thing is only designed to land by parachute, which means I'm probably going to have to design a different system. At least I'll be able to get one of them all out here. If they're all close enough together, I might be able to get them all. I'd have to roll the craft. Or are these all mount? They would be. So I'm going to need a vehicle capable of VTOL, probably a lander style probe rather than a missile style probe like I'm using right now. This may require a new craft type to be developed for this kind of mission. Switch over to dry mode, conserve fuel. Alright, so what we want it to do as an alternative to landing the vehicle, I want to try to see if I can get it to slide down slow. This is going to be tricky. It might still be doable. We'll find out here shortly. This one looks like it's going to be challenging. I think it's on those peaks. I think it's those 3 peaks is where it's wanting me to fetch the readings at. I'm almost certain of it. According to this, I should be over one right now. It'll be interesting to see if my alternate mode of travel works with this vehicle or not. You'll see what I mean by that in a moment. And pull. Don't break the fins. Good job. Alright, let's see if we can get that mission. Come on. We're not at the area? I thought we were. Ooh, we overshot it. No, the alternate mode of travel does not work that well. However, that may have enabled me to actually use... Oh, never mind. I know what just blew up. That was our air intake going bang. And I don't think the nav HUD actually shows target markers, unfortunately. Okay, so our current target is that way, 20 degrees off of center. All right, this ain't gonna work, so recovering him. And we're going to use a lander pod. A very simple lander pod, fortunately. When I build this, you guys are going to think I'm nuts. All right, so all this thing needs is a temperature probe on it and the ability to roll and to some degree to fly on land. But most importantly, it has to have the ability to be durable. We don't want it to bust up. Now, one of the toughest parts in the game for making ground contact is the first small landing gear. And I'm going to show you how you can use that landing gear to make a practically indestructible vehicle for easy terrain navigation. First off, we want a Mark 1 style probe core at the middle. Doesn't matter which Mark 1, just any Mark 1. That's the second thing you're going to need is 2 pieces of fuel that are not very big. Second thing you're going to need is a set of side mounting engines. And we have a problem with that. I haven't got the little ones unlocked yet. This is going to make this interesting. But we can probably use the ants as a replacement. No, too small. Those would be too big. Wondering on this one. I think in this case I will just use another one of these. We'll put the probe in a payload container. Protect it. All we need on it is science. I'm in the wrong spot. There we go. So all I need on it is a thermometer for that mission. Close this up. Just need 100% liquid fuel on these. We need an air intake. And then we need landing gear. Lots of landing. That may be too big. We need a jet, not a very big jet. You know, might be too small to get off the ground. Easily should be okay. Yeah, that'll work. We need 6 on the front now. What do you guys think of this particular design? Those flaps are way too big. They're very even. Still too big. Flight control surfaces, we need some really small. I have to make some customs. There we go. So what do you think, gentlemen? Will this fly? Oh, I forgot the... Almost forgot to put chutes on it. I don't need at least two. Actually, I should measure. Now I need one. One other thing I need. Gotta have a control. Let's say yes. Also needs more power for the probe to make sure it doesn't run out while you're using it. So test this baby, see how she flies. And then if she flies well, we'll mount her in the livery system. Estimate is for some improvements. What'd you think? On the side, how'd that fly? Pretty stable, eh? Need more wheels, Bumma? Yeah, wait till I land this thing. Oh, I'm not even going to land it. I'm just going to show you what it can do without even taking off the ground. I call it the alternate maneuver system. So let's say you fall from the sky, you're out of gas, you're close to your target, but you can't quite get there, but you're near. And you know you're close. You just can't make it that extra step. So what do you do? The alternate maneuver system. You roll to it using purely SAS-driven momentum. All electric. As long as you don't run out of electrical power, you will be able to move. Now, if you run out of jet fuel by that point, that means that you're probably going to be running out of electrical power really soon. So what you're going to do is I'm probably going to stick a couple of solar panels on here just to be on the safe side. All right, so that's showing off. Let me get her outside up and we'll try flying. Oh crap, I forgot to shoot again. So what is this thing doing? Apparently stalling. Hey, the probe lived. I don't know what happened there. It began acting very bizarrely. I think it's going to need a panther to make sure it remains stable and flat. Part of the problem is the Weasley doesn't have a lot of thrust. It's still one of the low-level jets. The only problem is, the drawback of putting a panther on it is it puts more risk to damage on the rear side. You have a greater opportunity to lose the engine due to its high weight. Maybe I can push the panther back into the back a little. Reduce its profile. Let's find out. Because ideally, that's the one you want to use. I guess the best thing I want to do right there. Alright, let's try that again. And I forgot to fix the staging again, but I'll fix it before launch this time because I remember at least that. As soon as I revert, I'm going to fix the staging and save. Indeed. Pre-flight check, staging screw, move the engine down. Let's see if the engine's far enough back that it's not going to affect the launch. Yep, it's good. That was a little bumpy start. The problem is the wheel authority on this thing is just a little bit too high. I think I may have these surfaces rotated a little too far in, the way they're behaving. I know another thing could help the controls, turning up the friction on the rear wheels and turning off their steering so that you only steer from the front. I see another problem. These are not supposed to be in contradiction with the landing gear. Oh, there goes the engine. As I said, the Panther is more vulnerable. All right. Kind of put the finishing touches on this thing and then actually deliver it. This will do perfect in those mountains. We'll shoot drop into the mountains to make sure that it doesn't blow up. I may put a heat shield on the front and put a couple of side vents for the engine. I bet I've got it on too many. 2, 3, could be on 6. Not 8, 6. Not, why in the heck does it keep trying to go to 8? There we go. That's how it should be. Cooling. What can we do to keep this thing nice and cold? These things are way too huge. I wonder if I had that fuselage that allows us to catch air on the belly. No such one. These things are way too huge. As are those. God. I know what we can do. Take one of these, 2 of these. Oh, wow. Throw intakes. These should work. I'm going to put them on radio. Good. Let's not do that. Instead, let's see. Do we have anything that's high temperature tolerance? That should be. Probe test number 10. Or whatever. I know we're up to 11. Oh, crap, they're already again. I'm going to fix that now. I'm tired of forgetting. Should have done a parachute check too. Oh, you did say staging. Staging was not check. Staging was definitely not check. Alright. So what we're going to do this time, I know this thing can land. So we're going to do a chute check. Make sure that the chute's going to land it on its wheels proper. Lol, plead the field. Only he were here. The other question is, will the ramjets get enough air to fuel this thing properly at high altitude? We'll test that too. Thing takes off in a very interesting way. It rabbit hops. I mean, you could take it to the end of the runway, no problem, but I'm impatient. Alright, so let's see what speed we can do at altitude. That's the big concern right now. Because we got these intakes, but they're partly occluded by the landing gear. I mean, it seems to be taking in air just fine. I just want to make sure that we've got enough. Go to ramjet burn. Full afterburner. I love those stars. They make the night so beautiful. And to think that way out there in the distance, there's actually other solar systems around them waiting for us to explore at Lake King. Max speed test. Max altitude appears to be probably something in the 20,000 if we wanted to continue to ascend. Oh no, no, that's not just for navigation. Those stars have entire planetary systems and moon systems around them. Probably why my game lags a little bit sometimes. I'm going to have warp drive to make it to those, I think. I don't see it. I mean, they simulate light years of travel. But we do have warp drive at the very end of the tech tree. Top speed appears to be somewhere around the 150 range without a full fuel burn to reduce the mass to weight ratio. So we're probably looking between 850 to 900 as the top speed, which is good. That's a really good range for local travel. So cut the engines and let's see how she does when she hits the water. I should key these to deploy as air brakes. Precision guidance has been achieved. You could probably land this thing on a dime. By land, I mean drive it straight into it. Let's just let the chute do its thing. That will be a pretty safe landing speed on the land because the gear can take an impact of over 50 meters per second. Looks like for water impacts, we're going to need a second chute. It did not like that at all. No, she's not. She's in bed. She's asleep. It's just you and I. You, me, and the things on the screen. Well, if you hit the water at any speed greater than like 6 meters per second, you have a high risk of busting something. Ooh, I should have reverted to spaceplane game. Not here. So we will simply add a second chute. We'll be done with it. Check, check, check. Everything looks good. Close up the wheels. Are you kidding me? It reverted everything I just did. Welcome to stream, any and all new watchers. Alright, so we need to reload the inter-Kerbin delivery vehicle with the new temperature probe, designed specifically for this mission, and the terrain that it's on. Namely, roly-poly mountains. Unfortunately, you'd have to be logged into the same account twice, Bum. I don't think that works right. I don't think that works that way, unfortunately. Hey, you could suggest a mission. By the way, I'm open on ideas for rewards, so if you have any, just put them out there. And we have ignition. And what is this thing doing? Why is it acting like something holding it in place? And there's nothing holding it in place. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have a bug on launch because launch can't clamp through this and this thing isn't going anywhere. And I know the current probe is lighter than the original. What the heck? Don't have a choice. That's a bug. This thing has gone off repeatedly with no problem. This ain't natural. While I'm at it, let me go ahead and fix this too. I doubt it. I think it's just a one-time bug. You get those periodically with Kerbal no matter what you do. Like I remember in the old days, one of the big physics things was that without strutting your landing gear would break when your aircraft deployed if it was over a certain weight. Like you had to be strutted out the wazoo to get the thing to stay together. Indeed, slay the Kraken. That, or if you like to land on Jewel, tempt the Kraken. Tempt it often. I've seen videos of people trying to land on Jewel. They're hilarious. Yeah, you've already been criminalized, Bomber. See? Went off without a hitch this time. It's just a one-time hiccup, homicide. It happens. Well, this thing reminds me of an intercontinental ballistic missile. If I can untie my tongue to actually pronounce it. First stage expended. Igniting second stage. Why would it only do it on that one launch though, Bomber? That makes no sense. I mean, it's launched clean every other launch at that moment. That's what gets me, is that we repeatedly launched this missile with no trouble, except for that one launch. Oh, baby, go. Get some. You know, I know the clamps love my rockets. Think they're awesome. But they gotta let them go. Just them chest rules. Gotta let them go. You never know with these Kerbals, man. Their stupidity and courage ratings know no bounds. Some engineer with a stupidity rating of 100 and a courage rating of yes. To do it with the dragon watching. This is what we call the express elevator. We are officially on target. Deploying payload. Bearings away clean. Reverting to probe. Reorienting probe for descent. Primary descent vehicle is on trajectory. Target has been acquired. Thermometer, mercury, and colored water. Are we on an overshoot trajectory? Maybe. That'll probably fix itself when we get some drag going. Are we ionized? We're ionized. Crap. I'm not going to be able to control crap. Hey, the good news is that wasn't the target anyway. We're still quite a ways away from the target. Don't burn up. You can do it. I know you can. Perfect. Right in the area we want to be in. Negative. Plan B is not required at this time. We do not need to go hot. We're already hot. We're cooking hot. Put an egg on it. It's done. Fry a steak on it. Whatever you do, don't touch it. Oh goodness, something might go pop. I hope that's not the probe core superheating inside of the containment bay. That would be annoying. Phew, looks like they're pulling back from the red zone. That was close. And there's our landing area in the distance. We need to get to. Is this a storm front I'm going over? Connection to Kerbin reestablished. Initiating engines and bringing probe to bear. That was a perfect insertion, people. Although I might put some radiators on it later just for safety's sake. We don't want to go back into a thermal overburn, because if we do, we'll lose control of the craft due to it being a probe. Why are you slowing down so much? Why is it slowing down so much in time for acceleration? That makes no sense. Look at this weirdness. You guys seeing this? The gear are extremely resilient. They have a very high crash and heat rating. I want to know why it wants to suddenly decelerate when we're in times 4. Just fuselage, pretty much. Fuselage and the intakes, that's it. Well, technically that's the parachutes. Fortunately, we're almost there, but it doesn't matter. Foggy landing. Around here somewhere. We're getting close. I should be getting the indicator anytime now. I want to bet it's right in there somewhere on that ridge line. Well, that was perfect timing. Yes, all these are ground missions, which is why I designed this probe. It's specifically designed to do surface missions. And now that it's here, it can just roll to wherever it needs to. Uh-oh. Oh, no. I hope that saved while it was on the ground and braked. Oh, my. I hate when that happens. I'm not sure what caused that. The game starts to get unstable after a long time of play, so it could just be that it was overdue for that. Yeah, cross the claws and hope, because that was a beautiful landing. One tap to lose that probe. Do that all over again. That would be a major nuisance, since that thing is right where it needs to be now. That would suck. Sailing right before landing. Yeah, I've had that happen a couple of times too, but usually those were manual quick saves I did, and I didn't realize it would be too late to actually do anything about the problem that I was encountering. Hopefully, one of these days, I get a better graphics card and then better streaming will commence. Right now, do you know what I'm running this on, Mama? I'm running this on an NVIDIA 550 GTX, a simple 1 GB graphics card. Fortunately, I have 16 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM to kind of make up for the lack of a graphics card, but still. Graphic card is 5 years old. Yeah, I got 16 gig in here. It's probably what's handling it, okay. I've got 52 add-ons on here. I mean, 16 gigs, nothing to laugh at, but if I could toss a decent graphics card on board with it, I could probably run much better. I'd like to get, yeah, one of the things you'll see my donation tag down here, of course, the tie next. If I got that thing, I'd probably be able to run everything in 4K HD, which is what I'd really like to do for people in the long run. I've got that donation pool set to go all the way up to December, so hopefully, get the stream going, get enough people watching. Maybe I'll get a few interested, drops of $5 here and there, and eventually I'll be able to get one, get an upgrade, and be able to do much better broadcasts. At least that's the long-term hope. Also, Kerbal eats a lot of PCU processing power, or CPU. And this thing is also not at its max CPU. This DZ68DB. It can handle an i7 377 or 3770. That costs $400. That's a 3.5 megahertz i7 processor. The one I've got in here right now is a 2 gigahertz i5. So a lot of potential upgrades for the desktop here, just wrangle the money together to get them. Gib looks so confused. Why do you do 800 some patches? What I should probably do is an integrity check on the base game at some point. my understanding, an integrity check doesn't break the base mods, just make sure that everything's intact. Because the way it's been behaving, I'm beginning to think I might have some sort of minor corruption of the actual main game files. I'll probably do that after this evening's stream. Actually, Bama, do you have any type of interest in City Skylines? Because I've been thinking about switching over and playing it for a little bit. What do you think, Bama? Homicides? Either of you guys interested in seeing me play City Skylines and seeing what I can do in it? Or you still want me to play Kerbin? I'll do either one. We should probably check on the status of this mission before we wrap up if we do anything. Kind of a, what do they call it? Cliffhanger if I don't go actually take a look and see if the thing's still in one piece. Or should I just leave it as a cliffhanger as a hook to get you guys to come back tomorrow night? Tune in next time to see if the probe survived. Yeah, EJ's amazing at Skylines. He's amazing at most of the engineering games that he plays. His objectives, though, on Skylines are very much different than mine. I play it to maximize population, and so my city looks like a crammed-in circuit board. It's not very pretty. And it's designed to maximize the flow of traffic rather than how good it looks. Okay. Well, then what we'll do is we'll check and see what the status of the probe is. If it's still working, we'll complete the mission. And once we get this mission done, I'm still going to be probably streaming for an hour or so more than that. We'll load up City Skylines. You guys can see what my city looks like. Please be in one piece. Please be in one piece. Please be in one piece. Crossing the claws. Okay, that's a good sign. And it's still on the ground because it's recoverable. By the way, you know what I did to crash it, Bama? I unlocked the brakes. I don't know why that triggered it. I hope it doesn't do it again. Because being able to lock and unlock your brakes is kind of important. Alright, still where it should be. Navigation is still set. That's weird. How can that be? Oh, I got the north one first. Okay, that makes this easy then. You guys ever seen a jet-powered land drone before? I don't know where this thing is wanting me to go, but it sure is taking us onto some interesting terrain. I'm practically climbing a wall here. This is a 20-degree slope. Yeah, this isn't actually a biome collection mission. This is just a mission to collect temperature readings for money. Good money, too. And the only reason that I had them is because I hadn't unlocked Moon yet and it was still spawning them. Alright, that's number 2 complete. You know, after we finish with this funnel, we're going to do a ground test to see how fast this thing can run on rough terrain. I'm right now keeping it cautious at around 20 meters per second, but I got a funny feeling it could probably hit 50, up to about 30 or 40 without any serious risk. Well, there's 30. Yeah, you're right. It might be a short test, and then I'll ramp the hill and be back in the air. By the way, this design makes for a great Moon and Mars probe using standard rockets, like the Spark. Spark engine does great on that. It takes a while, doesn't it? Then you realize just how incredibly useful they are. But they do look funny. Very, very funny. The really fun part, though, is this. I might be able to get this thing to turn up on its side into a motorcycle stance. Let me see if I can get it into a motorcycle. I know I can do it on Mars because gravity's so high, but I'm not sure I can do it on Kerbin. You can ride it on two wheels in theory. There, oh, almost had it. I'll tell you what, we'll do the motorcycle test after we complete the mission. Rovers are awesome, especially ones that can do this. You see it ramp that? Oh crap. Survivability test! Survivability test! Passed. Holy shit. That was close. Do what I mean by extremely durable and extremely survivable? Oh wait, we're in the mission area right now. Didn't notice that. It's a little upside down though. Also, the importance of the landing gear is it protects everything that's within the radius of the landing gear. Mission complete, check. Alright. Let's have some fun. I'm going to attempt to take this thing down the valley at max speed and ramp it up the other mountain and see if it'll take off. Heck, it already took off. Uh-oh, that was a bit too much. Something broke. That was a landing gear. Oh! Above 50 meters per second, nothing is guaranteed. I better stop or I'll have nothing left to recover. Break. You see how fast that thing was going on the ground? It was like up to 100 meters per second before finally it hit a small bump, flipped 3 times, and broke its landing gear off. And the engine. The bigger landing gear had the same effect except for one notable difference. The farther apart the end of the gear are, the more things can get between the gear and damage whatever you have, you know, protected by the radius of the gear. The angles get farther apart, basically, the farther out they are. The cone gets wider and more can get into the cone, more can catch on the cone. Unfortunately, Nanotech is no longer the break-even point for getting new technology. We have to have at least 160 now. So we did make progress, but not enough to get any tech yet. Dock 2 or more vessels on or around Kerbin. That's going to be easy. This is kind of cheap. but it's just a means of completing a mission. I could do this in orbit, but why when I can do it here and save the cost of the launch? After this, we take a break and do skylines. Watch. Physics will break in some weird way and flip these things both into outer space. Anybody want to take bets? The heck, alignment indicator, you were way off. How did you get that so wrong? I don't get that. I want to get these two unlocked from each other. Come on, move. Burn. Almost got it. Let's try that again. That was weird. And there we go. And physics did nearly flip him into space. That was funny. Ooh. Explore amendments. Hey, Homicide, how'd you get up there, man? When did you join my space program? Nobody told me you were a Kerbal. Yes, orbital station mission. Just what we wanted. Yes, you're stuck in space, dude. Go see where you're at. I might just have to go save him from orbit. Where are you? Somewhere up here in this mess. Oh, there's a pod. There you are. That's an easy recovery, too. Unfortunately, you spawned in front of the Space Center, so I'm going to have to wait till you come. Wait, where is this? Alright. I'm guessing the Space Center is in the dark route. That must be it right there. That's you all the way over here. No, I should be able to recover you pretty easy. Of course, I said that, and how many times did it take for me to rescue you, Baba? I want to save Homicide to get him added to the space program before I switch over to Skyline and play for maybe an hour. Because then I'll have to go to bed. Yep, the ride back is definitely a roller coaster. I believe in air braking by rolling. Best of luck. Okay, recovery vessel. Get to ride home on this. Make sure it's empty. Dude, I hope you're an engineer, because if you're an engineer, you'd complete the 4-man crew that we need to get to Minmus. So let's hope when I yank you out of that capsule, you come up as an engineer. And we have liftoff of Recovery Mission 6. On the quest to save Homicide. We have nominal stage 1 burn, everything going according to plan. Setting navigation systems for encounter. Target is at ideal distance for encounter. Stage 1 clean separation. Initiating stage 2 burn. Bringing nose down in line with the horizon. Beginning throttle up. Increasing the distance. Lower it. Stage 2 released. Initiating Stage 3 burn. Plenty of Delta V remaining. Slight overshoot. Should be able to correct for it. I have monopropellant. Yes, I do. Use that. But ready for your spacewalk, homicide? Homicide is an engineer. We have a complete Nimbus crew now. Hallelujah. We will be going to Nimbus tomorrow night, most likely. So, Homicide, how do you feel about an indefinite stay on a little green rock with no atmosphere and no life? Jump for it. You jump in just the right angle, you won't have to worry about monopropellant. Bit late now, man. You're mid walk. Fine, let's see if we can go back and get your jelly babies. Be quick though, otherwise you're going to miss the boat. You're approaching at 13 meters per second, but it doesn't look like it's counting that fast. Okay, do you have everything you need, Homicide? Hope you can find your way back to the ship. Not that far away. Collision course achieved. ETA 1 minute 15 seconds. What's your biggest halo jump, fellas? My largest one has been 20 kilometers between vessels. And I'm talking between orbits. Actually, if I were to count the amount of time I was drifting through space to cover that 20 kilometers, I probably covered a whole lot more if you include the horizontal distance as well. But the initial reading was 20 kilometers between vessels, and I got my Kerbal from one to the other in orbit. It's pretty wild. Just look for the light. Permission aboard granted. Welcome to the Dragons in Space Program, Homicide. You have been conscripted as an engineer. Let's get you home now. Oceanic encounter has been set. Maneuvering for approach. Bringing heat shield to prep. Presenting the heat shield to the bow. Prograde. Beginning re-entry descent. Orbit's okay, Bama. If you're careful with orbit, you can go quite a distance with 5 monoprop and a Kerbal. Congrats, Homicide. We don't want to disturb you, homicide, but we need to let you know we have lost contact with the probe core that is guiding your craft. Please get your barf bag ready. Chutes activated. Waiting for proper pressure and altitude. In the meantime, homicide, I do hope you have your barf bag ready. Probe chutes deployed. Spin has been terminated. Primary chutes deployed. Probe chutes fully out and open. Waiting for primary chutes to open. Primary chutes open. Very likely, yes, Mama Hunter. We'll probably get to that tomorrow. I'm going to take a break and do something different. We're going to do some city skylines. But I'm very happy with the progress we made, especially with the fact we now have completed the Minmus crew without spending a single dollar on personnel. The best part is everybody going to Minmus is a name the stream follower. and safe recovery. Actually, we may wait on doing the station because there's very specific parts I want to have on it that we don't have unlocked yet. Namely, I need to get a winch on it, which we do have a winch, but I also need the fuel port to go with it. The fuel port's very critical. It allows the transfer of fuel between vessels without necessarily having a solid or direct dock, which means that if I put up a gas station, type station for refueling or emergency rescue, I could connect multiple craft to it at one time if need be, with just with a single docking port and then a few fuel ports. Maximizes the functionality of the station. We are almost at 2 million Kerbucks. That was a very profitable run. All right. Go into the space hangar and then leave it to save it. Yeah, which means we'll be able to upgrade the space plane hangar soon to its last stage, which will give us the ability to do action groups on our space planes and aircraft. Which means there won't be a whole lot left to upgrade other than the research lab and the policy center. The policy center we're probably going to do last at the point where we're making so much money that we can convert it to science without even thinking about or worrying about losing it. Well, I thought we were going to. We got a input lock again from something. There we go. This should force it to auto-save, and then we can load up Skylines for a little while. No, we're just changing over to Skylines now, Obama. We just forced to save and change games. Now, a lot of people play this game for beauty. As I said, I'm playing it for population and maxing out import-exports. I'm utilizing all the industry that I can. You're going to see that here shortly because I have an incredible amount of traffic on it. Like ridiculous amounts of traffic. Actually, I want to stop the stream briefly and then restart it, the purpose of which is to break this into two separate videos.